Cosmic. I'm talking to you, Cosmic. You know I'm right. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm calling him out. I'm explicitly telling him exactly as it is. So we're going to jump into this part, see where it's going on, and probably should mention this right now. If you haven't seen the latest episode of Hunter the Parenting, stop. This is going to be all the spoilers. There is no way this is not all the spoilers. If you have any idea what I'm talking about, it is all the spoilers. Now that you've been warned, werewolves, let's jump into it.
Glad the Arcanum's still not depraved enough to spy on people on the bog.
Ah, we got one on the bug.
Hey guys, it's me, back at it again.
Did you just re-edit the stupid over-the-top Swedish accent that Bruv Alvabusa puts on when he's doing his recording voice as your intro sound? Oh my god.
Sickening.
Oi, just for that
not
remark,
cutting
you're
out.
going to face the wrath of my
Folding chair.
What the? Creation of suffering in the name of folding chair, regretting his disrespect, worrying levels of sadistic glee, pain as an offering to the worm. American Thundercracker. Oh yes, that's exactly what that is. Yeah, actually, at some point, I'll probably be referred to as that.
So Chapter 5 was finally released after tormenting us with the cliffhanger
Agony, familial terror, birds, not enough firearms.
of all cliffhangers for the better part of a year. We finally have our answers now. And
Sweet relief.
indeed, I'm with you there, Grimmel. Alright.
I forgot that was the face she made. Yeah. Also, I just realized when we saw her face at the description right now, she's probably covering a smile because she's the one who did it.
Right, so this is something of a follow-up to my original theory video, which you should totally watch before this one if you haven't. Please, you'll understand why in a minute.
Yeah.
And also, this is essential. Watch Hunt the Parenting Chapter 5 if you haven't. I'm going to be spoiling it into utter oblivion, so go and watch the
I'm actually, okay, so he's only touching on Hunter the Parenting, which is weird because there are so many mini shorts and longer shorts that were probably important, but we don't know yet because they hinted that this is not the first time supernatural forces have stolen Big D's kids. It's plural guaranteed because we know of at least one other, and Marcus. Again, I mentioned there's going to be spoilers, and Cosmic in the Void going, I was giggling to myself the entire time I made that. And I cannot tell you how much fun I had with that. Yeah, I see it. I see what you're doing, Cosmic. Putting in a lighthearted slapstick joke about America. Because this is definitely Norfolk, America, unlike the other one that's actually in a Norfolk, America.
theory video first, then the actual episode. I'm considering this a direct continuation of the theory video, so a lot of stuff might not make sense if you're not watching that first. You have 5 seconds to avoid ruining it for yourself. 4, 3, 2...
Haha, everything was a werewolf all along. Yeah, that's right. I already warned you. If you're not waiting for the spoiler message, you're already spoiled for it. I'm a monster. And Thomas, you mentioned, I wonder if the next HTP they meet demons just to get to the Umbra to save their teammate. I don't know nearly enough about the Umbra. People have tried to explain it to me before, and my entire understanding of it was going, yeah, there's a line in What's Understandable, and all of it can be summed up as not that. It's dense, man. It is really dense.
1. Okay, so...
I'm assuming you had those images of Big D going crazy teed up because you already had the laugh in there on your own. Well played, Cosmic, well played.
I am the foresight god, and all shall kneel before my psychic/reality warping powers. Praise me. I have been riding an absolute high ever since that episode came out, let me tell you. I absolutely nailed it. Well, one part of it at the very least,
Yeah.
I beyond question called. I nailed that Matilda was a werewolf. I'd say it was obvious in hindsight, but like, I called it, so to me it was obvious in foresight too. She spelled her own name wrong, for God's sake. She spelled
Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to say someone's a werewolf, I wonder who that would be. No idea. No idea. They didn't really hide it well, which is probably the point.
What if it wasn't? But litter? Alas, my victory does come with downsides. You know, Batilda was on R34. I learned this by browsing the...
We're talking about werewolves, and the cat is just sitting there staring at me. They're not trying to get in anymore. They're just staring at me and judging me for not letting them in to chew the sparky pasta.
Onto the parenting subreddit.
Oh no.
I'm gonna regret
Resist
this.
morbid curiosity.
I know I'm gonna regret
Very
this.
censored.
I know for a fact. Yep.
Wolf
Yep.
tits.
Yep. That went exactly as I expected it to. This is what happens when you let people dommy mommy online. Magnus, could you handle this one for me?
I mean, she is pretty hot in that one. I mean, you can even say she's flaming. Yep. I'm not regretting that one.
Handle this one for me. Thank you, beloved demon spawn. But no, in all seriousness, although I was right on this one, I was second guessing myself up until the last second. That episode was a series of twists and turns, but that was such a glorious moment of feeling.
I don't know, because they kind of spoiled immediately who is responsible. In the very beginning, they said, I wonder who is doing this. Who has committed this murder? And they even had the wolf made sure to show it with its muzzle covered in the image. It's like, yeah, they're being on the nose about it. It kind of makes sense. Or at least that's how it felt at the time when I watched it.
Okay, shit. Damn, I'm good.
Although, when I watched his previous theory video about Hunter the Parenting, Cosmic and I probably disagreed a lot on the entire ghoul aspect. I thought there was more than one thing going on, and he thought maybe it's a werewolf. It sounds like there is a ghoul still, and we just don't know it, and they're now being covered by the fact that the werewolf kind of, was a werewolf.
Well, I must admit, I do find it funny that in my original theory, I had a section where I said, basically under the human form, wolf form, and wolf form matter, who cares? And then they used the wolfman homid form thing between humans and wolf form, and it was central to maintaining the mystery until the last possible second. That'll fucking teach me to prejudge.
Because he thought it might have been a vampire, which was what they were hinting at in the story itself. Yeah. And Pilot, you mentioned, oh yeah, the Hunter of the Parenting subreddit has been so horny since the episode came out, and not just for Matilda. I'm going to do something I rarely do, and I'm not going to ask. I'm going to exercise wisdom and not ask what the hell is going on Reddit, because I realize that question comes with answers about what's going on Reddit. And there's never an answer to that that's not going to scar you for life.
There's a small detail that I liked with Occam and Waters and Kitten in particular that I just wanted to bring attention to. I like how Occam referred to Kitten's return as being fanfare and Waters tells him to stop being so modest. It implies, without directly stating it, that Kitten was well liked and probably a top member in terms of accomplishment during his time in the Arcanum. So it fit amazingly well when Occam mentioned wanting to have Kitten back in the Arcanum. It's just such a small thing.
Is it a small thing? Because I thought that was like the most obvious thing, because Kitten has always been hyper competent in every single way he's shown. It kind of makes perfect sense. I mean, I don't disagree with his take on it. I don't think it's a small thing. I think it's a big thing. Occam wants people who are competent, and he's surrounded by people who are competent, but also Big D.
I know, it's such an odd scene to focus on, but I love small moments like this. It shows how Kitten isn't just a naive learner that we think of him as, but a curious mind who does have knowledge, he just craves more.
Oh, I see what he means. So it's not so much the one aspect of the interaction, but more the fact that the interaction exists altogether, and we're getting to redefine his character based on that. Except he's always been kind of intelligent, so... See, I never took him as the neophyte. I just took Big D as the guy who knew everything, and Kitten as the studious one who would learn everything. But again, I'm also looking at Kitten the same way I did as, well, Kitten from If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device, because he's kind of fallen into the same role due to the audio logs where he's asking questions of Big D following the exact same role, which is what his character's spiritual successor or forerunner came from. So it kind of feels so natural. I never thought to ask about it. Huh.
I know I'm the one who keeps calling for a distinction between HTP and TTS, but after watching Kitten being treated like crap in TTS for so long, it's just nice to see him being treated with genuine respect. It just makes...
Was he treated like crap? I mean, the Emperor treated everyone like crap, but yeah, I guess, yeah, in hindsight, yeah, he was.
Smile, I love it.
That's more just
The
me
episode
realizing that,
as a
though.
whole is amazing. I have to say, animation quality shot through the roof.
Yep.
Character, dialogue, voice acting,
Yep.
absolutely
Yep.
spot on. There's not an inch of fat on it, despite it having the slower and calmer moments that it needed to have. But it was all used amazingly to set up new world-building details and character moments.
I'm still a little disappointed, though. He hasn't pointed out the fact that the logo for, like, not the logo, the mascot, the main image for the production company that Brew of Alpha Boost has set up, Ogre Papanung, is literally in the corner right now and has been on screen multiple times. And talking about him being a fan favorite, or that he was a favorite, is also not just a shout out to a small one there, but an actual shout out to real life breaking the fourth wall to say Kitten was the fan favorite. He's back. And then the character image that they put in there of their logo is smiling and looking. It's like, yeah, it's such a fourth wall break to address the audience. Like, yes, we know he's the favorite.
It did humor
And also, it made me terrified at the time. And I didn't want to say anything in case it was actually indicating he's about to die because he was the favorite.
exposition, character development, and establishment, and mystery all at the same time. I guarantee you, from what I know about writing, they went through at least 20 drafts of that script. Bare minimum,
worked.
almost certainly more. That thing was gone over with a fine comb. Speaking of voice acting, we've got to give props to Speaker D.
Yeah.
Everyone else did an amazing job. Please don't interpret this as a jab at everyone else's work.
Like, don't get me wrong. I'm going to agree with him right here. Every single person who's been involved in this project or wizard is an amazing actor. They have great vocal chops. Speaker D is literally the guy who's doing a decent middle of the road job for okay money, but then is outperforming some big name celebrities in sheer quality. Like, the guy's absurd. And he's also writing this too, so he's not just acting it. It's literally insane.
Thundercyker as Kitten, Snipers Matilda, Honky Crow as Giles, and Archaeotech as Remald also did utterly phenomenal jobs this time around. And we all know I adore Grimmel, and a lot of that is down to Udoroshi for doing her so well. But Speaker D...
Out! Everyone out!
Good lord. He does an amazing job at the best of times, from game mastering the Norfolk Wizard game, which you should also be watching because...
I feel I'm being called out right now. Considering my chat usually says I need to watch more Norfolk Wizard game. And I feel like, you know, Cosmic's in the chat right now. If I ask him, he's probably going to say, yes, watch it already, damn it. But I haven't seen that because I didn't involve the word damn it. So he can't say that, so I win.
Because it's canon to HTP and also its mages, which are the best, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And Speaker also does a great job with D normally.
Oh, what a beautiful morning to... Who the fuck is in my kitchen?
But this episode, he absolutely nailed it. They've been building up to this one for a long time. I can...
Also, you can kind of see it just in the difference between here and here. They actually had multiple different artists who were doing animations for Speaker D, so the style of how he's animated does look slightly different. It's still him, but it's always slightly off, and it's always really cool to see the different people's takes on him.
Tell the sheer primal terror on D's face when it became clear that it was a werewolf. Perfection. And that only worked as well as it did for two main reasons. First, in just how well it was executed, but second, in how it contrasted it is with his usual bombastic self, and in this particular case, sheer arrogance shown in the previous episodes. If there wasn't a backlog of D acting this way beforehand and basically being right all the time, only to be contrasted here, this moment wouldn't have hit as hard as it did. So props on that.
Oh, I know. It was so cool. Like, I'm just going to agree with him. Nothing to really disagree with or pull something out for. But no, Crow's right here. Everything to build up Speaker D as a Speaker D because he's the actor, but Big D because he was shown to be in the audio log more cunning and willing to put on the fool's mask while also sometimes being a fool. And to have all this intimate knowledge, but then the horror builds so much. It's like, if it was just a random werewolf, it's like, okay, that's fine. But it wasn't just a random werewolf. It was a werewolf. And to see his reaction when he's the person we most suspect will be able to do anything, and rightly so, probably because he could, It's so neat to see it. And yeah, everything built up around this perfectly. And I rant about this in every Hunter the Parenting audio log, main video ever that comes out, that they're very good about setting up all the little notes you need to see what's going on before they show the reveal. It's mystery writing setup and how they design everything. There are the clues there. You don't know what the clue is. It might not be the clue you need. It might just be a very interesting detail to show the world, but it might also be important later on. For example, in the beginning of Hunter the Parenting, the newest episode, talking about who did this, they show the stuffed wolf with muzzle covered in blood sneaking through the door, so you can just see that in the shot when they say who did this. And it's such a blatant slap in the face that it's obvious. So obvious that you could overlook it because it's that obvious. It's like the taste of air. You got it so often, you don't even think about what it is. Also, Siren, you mentioned, on behalf of everyone, yes, watch Wizard get already. Do it each stream. I would like to, and considering we just reached this goal, if that's what you guys want me to do, I guess I will have to.
Speaking of arrogance, though, I've defended Dean that I don't exactly think he made a mistake when it came to dealing with Guy in the police station. But here, yeah, no, Dee completely screwed up here, and how well it contrasts with his normal self, it absolutely helped to establish the sheer threat of the werewolf before it even...
Yep. Because who assumes, well, there's a werewolf randomly in here? He didn't, because they're mostly going after vampires. Makes sense that they would be targeted by vampires, because there's a ghoul in there who was told by a reliable source that there is a ghoul there. So, you know, vampires. So it could be a bigger vampire, which is what they were kind of hinting at it before it went full-on werewolf as opposed to just humanimal. There's a middle form. I know the word, but I just don't want to say it right now because I forgot it.
When it started doing things. And then it started doing things.
Yeah.
Mother of Christ. This episode has set the bar for anything World of Darkness, especially the werewolves. Despite the fact that they are unfathomably powerful, they've kind of got...
Oh, and the best part is, I'm not sure if he'll get to this or not. I've been watching the Burger Kriegs video about showing what this is. This was not a warrior form werewolf. This is the sneaky rogue werewolf form. Because they didn't kill anyone. They maimed. They murdered. But they didn't immediately slaughter everyone. A werewolf form, and I don't mean that fight when they reveal this episode. I mean from the beginning. This was not the most powerful physical werewolf. Yeah. This is the one most likely to be the subterfuge, the rogue. Still a werewolf, but not nearly as crazy as it could get.
Gotten a bit of a raw deal in how they're portrayed in media. Like the Earthblood game where they're kind of just hanging out and can take maybe 3 or 4 shots to the face when that is a laughably small amount of bullets needed to drop a Garou. Silver tip or not. Episode 5. This is how the warriors of Gaia act. You can really tell that the episode was made by people who gave a damn, sat down with one another and said, okay, we are going to do the werewolves justice come hell or high water. So please, let me be the one to speak on behalf of the World of Darkness fanbase. You absolutely nailed it, Ogre Papanong. Just round of applause. Round of applause. The way this series is made honestly tempts me to just make a full-blown follow-along series of it, just dissecting and breaking down all the creative ways it's made and how it all builds into itself.
But you won't because, Cosmic, I'm calling you out on this. You are worse than me about getting to things. I have seen your posts about how, oh, the coffin of Andy and Lele, or whatever the name is, has been ready and been worked on, and it's only this long now. It's only this long now. It's still not out. You are someone who needs to be locked in a room and told to finish the damn video. Food and water will be provided whenever it's actually done. Also known as the Stephen King option. I'm not sure that's a joke either. There have been some interesting reports about it. I'll just put it out there. And now Cosmic in the chat has mentioned, I will do it now. I am working on it. I am working on it. Damn you. Out of spite. And now because it's on video, there is evidence of it. Hobbit, pot me, kettle. I'm going to ignore that.
Something about how it's made just fascinates me on a fundamental level. It's just, I cannot stress how good it is. I want as many people to see it as possible because this is the level of quality.
Oh God, I forgot. This is the first family image we got from the entire story. It just... It's so different. You can see just how the art style has changed between the first family shot and the later family shots. It's so different. It's honestly much better. This is fine, but what came next was amazing.
Level of quality media should be striving towards at all times. But there's a lot of people with a lot of questions. I did a poll and yeah. See,
Hundreds of people have asked about it. I figured I should ask. Possible spoilers for Chapter 5 of 100 of the Parenting. In case you haven't seen it, there is interest, there is not. Where's the third option of why are you asking and not just doing it already? Because we assume we were interested regardless. Truly, that was the correct answer. And sorry, and when Airier says you're too slow, you know it's bad. I'm just putting this on screen to put proof that I'm not just reading out random things. Yes. Yes.
Americans, this is what an overwhelming mandate looks like. So I'll go over some of the stuff
Ha! Joke's on you. I'm American. I don't read numbers.
that needs explaining, and I'll try to explain it as best I can. This is going to be another one of those unlist later type videos, so we're just going to ramble a bit, but more stream of conscious type stuff. You know the drill. I'll get sources somewhere I can. I'll disclose if I'm taking it from somewhere else.
Oh, this scene where we saw the eye, and I thought, oh shit, eye, Marcus, he's going to lose an eye, bad shit. But no, apparently this was explicitly good. It was exactly what they wanted. He was using it correctly, and it was explicitly a symbol on there that we're probably about to
Some
see.
of these are my thoughts, and some
was
of them
good
are
only.
debunking theories I think are dumb. If you've seen the first video, you know what we're doing. Alrighty, first let's tackle some theories real quick.
Jeez. The ghoul in the chapter house. I don't think this one's a theory because they explicitly said from a reliable source in narrative, Kevin, that there is explicitly a ghoul. It could also be an animal because that's something one of the other audio logs had. But we know there is a ghoul. And the audio log talking about how it could be an animal because they thought it was animals. In their house, there were possibly ghouls. Came out after his previous theory video. Yeah. This isn't really a theory, though. It's kind of a thing we know is
The
there.
ghoul in the chapter house, first of all. We'll be on this one for a bit since I have the most to say about it. We still don't actually know who the ghoul is, and I'm pretty
Also, just going back a bit to this, like just seeing the initial art, and then going here and seeing this, where they have the 3D top down, they're curving in and having everything move around it. Side profiles of everyone. It's such cool animation. You can see the growth there.
pretty sure there is still a ghoul in the chapter house. Because it seems to me to be incredibly unlikely that the vampires knew about werewolf infiltration or that they're coordinating with the Garou.
Yeah.
Werewolves and vampires despise one another and will attack almost
They really do? Really? Oh, I actually didn't know that part.
on sheer instinct. They rarely, if ever, communicate with one another. And it's usually on the part of the werewolves. Werewolves view vampires as being tainted by the spirit of entropy, the worm
I mean, they ain't wrong.
which their entire conflict revolves around defeating. Vampires are more than likely more open to having some werewolves to call upon if the option was open to them,
But
since vampires are more about political power plays, but the werewolves sure as hell aren't going to be doing that unless they have literally no other choice. This goes so deep that the werewolves literally don't understand anything about vampires. They think the more deformed a vampire is, the older and therefore more powerful they are, which is all a matter of not how this works.
yeah, because the oldest one, unless they've only seen the really fucked up deformed vampires because they're from Diablerism. Is that how you spell that? I'm not even sure that's the correct way to do it. Because that fucks with them a lot. Yeah. First generation, unfathomable power. 12th generation, comparatively weak. Bear in mind, this is all relative. Even the 12th generation vampire could kick a human's teeth in. Yep. Because they're all kind of bullshit. And then there's a werewolf who can probably go up multiple generations on being a base level intro level 1 character.
Vampire power is based on how low their generation is. This essentially means in practice they give Nosferatu vampires of a high generation a wide berth, but they'll pick fights with Giovanni and Toreador of low generations quite readily. To the
Really? Werewolves readily attack him due to how normal relatively he looks, despite him being a literal fucking blood wizard. Yeah, because he is a 9th generation, yeah. Although his skill set is not exactly leaning towards overpowered itself. And frankly, I'd still put a werewolf over Kevin.
their own peril. Of course, there are exceptions. In World of Darkness, there are always exceptions to any one rule or generalization. I mean, there's one character sheet of a person who is a werewolf vampire. That is not supposed to be a thing, but he
What? Good. I got an idea. Why don't you get the fuck away from me? That way I won't have to tear your throat out. Caleb Kinsey. A loner. The loner's a vampire, but he might not realize it. Yes, he drinks blood. No, he has no heartbeat. But he can turn into a wolf since being bitten. So what is he? Any hunter might ask the same question. Any surveillance using observation edges could reveal a creature that appears to be a shapeshifter than a vampire. Predation of an animal in the wild. Extended bouts of spent in animal form. Depends on the truth of the situation. Zubadai. An abomination. She was formerly a silent strider and now is a sentient Atreyu, a member of the True Black Hand. Zubadai began a long quest to bring some sort of unification to the tribes or disparate tribes of Africa. Quest met initial success. Also meant to intimidate immediate opposition as her battles against the mages of Ethiopia and the worm creatures of Sahara became legendary. Never chance victory ended with an embrace in the shadow of the Sphinx. Followers of Set. Long time she was bound to her master to serve them faithfully until the Black Hand destroyed the temple and controlled her, freeing her to tear out her own intestines. I'm sorry. There's ways to interpret this, and I think the most fucked up way is they freed her, and she immediately tore out her own intestines. And you might not hear it, but my wife is going in the background. Noise. Oh, God. Okay.
Here it is. That's just the sort of universe
That's
World
the
of
thing.
Darkness is. Any rule, generalized or specific, there are exceptions to it. So it's
Except
not
for the
really possible
big
that
one.
an alliance between the werewolves
You don't
and
kill Cain.
vampires is in place. Just improbable. There's only a couple of tribes that would ever even consider such a thing, and they would be seen as tainted by the other tribes. Ghoul werewolves aren't unheard of, but they are absurdly rare to the point of being non-existent. We're talking like maybe 3 cases cited in the source books.
Oh.
For most werewolves, vampire blood consumed in the way needed to become a ghoul would trigger an allergic reaction, if not just outright poison them.
Oh.
Matilda, or whatever her name is, sure didn't act like a ghoul. She had her wits about her, so I personally think that we can rule out that possibility. To be totally
I mean, she explicitly didn't kill anyone, and she wasn't reaching for Marcus originally. He wasn't the initial hostage. I just realized that. Oh, that might be interesting. I wonder if Cosmic's going to touch on that part.
honest, we're less theorizing and more speculating on that at this stage. So I think it wise to focus on the stuff we're able to actually verify instead. So who was the ghoul? I'm still putting my money on Grimmel, just less of it. And by less of it, I mean if I was betting £100 that it was her before, I might make it £90 now. Because I'm still pretty damn sure it's her. I'm just lowering it because there's a bit more room for doubt in my mind. So why do I still think it's her? I'll tell you why I'm not convinced it's her first of all. The theory that says, if you look at her during this sequence, you can see her nails are breaking the tiles. That requires the superhuman strength a ghoul can provide. The reason that doesn't convince me is because it's Grimmel. Grimmel's used to tell a lot of anime-esque jokes that are done in an anime-esque style, and this is a very anime-esque joke. I'm not entirely convinced that we should use that as info on anything. It's also like a spirit flying out of her mouth after that was done, which is another thing done in anime. I don't see anyone taking...
I actually missed that completely because I was focusing on the giant holes in the wall. Yeah, so they're giving leeway here. He's probably right about that. I'm honestly wondering, though, if they're going to go to the entire animal, like a random fly or a rat, was the actual ghoul, because they had an entire audio log talking about it. That's my only guess.
Taking that to mean anything. If we did, then
Or-
the most likely
Or it was still Occam. In that case, he wouldn't be a ghoul, he'd be a willing collaborator, but functionally a ghoul.
answer would be a wraith, and I'm not going into the idea of her being a wraith. That would make me sad. There's also part of why I'm disregarding the
See, I don't know why he's saying being a Wraith would make her sad, because the only thing I know about Wraith is, hi, welcome to Wraith. Have depression.
idea that Grimmel is the ghoul because she got whacked by Matilda when she was in werewolf form and survived it, because I think Werewolf Lady was holding back, but let's leave that particular...
No. She definitely was holding back. The only people she killed were done off screen. She maimed people on screen. She didn't kill a single person.
The bombshell for a little bit later, shall we? Then again, this episode is
Like right there, just the hand coming straight down. She has claws. If she wants to kill, she does this. She did this, not this. Very big difference. Matilda explicitly didn't kill anyone. Except probably for the old guy who, well, fatigue or fatigue. And even then, you could argue that maybe it was still the ghoul and the werewolf was taking the credit for it. I'm assuming the werewolf did it because it would make no sense to really change that up now. But if they want to tell an overly complicated story, they could. If they decide to go that option, though, I'm going to say that's a mistake personally and bad writing. So I don't think they would do it. But every now and again, you can drop the ball. And it would be dropping the ball if that's the way they went. So I'm going to pretend it's not.
single-handedly proven that all my bullshit observations were 100% worth taking seriously, so maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot with not...
Wait, she killed the two other suspects once revealed? Really? Oh. I thought they just fell to the floor.
taking that as evidence. But that being said, I like my evidence to be a bit more concrete than that. So here's the evidence that I think suggests it. The delirium. Just to recap, in case you've forgotten or didn't quite understand it the first...
Yeah, the body, like you see blood, but the bodies aren't there, and they actually are shown to not be there. Yeah, you see it's right over their heads. Yeah, they're both here. Elise is surviving later. And he explicitly is still there when the hole is there.
You've forgotten or didn't quite understand it the first time around. The delirium is...
Yeah, so she didn't actually kill anyone when she did that. She got very close, though. But at every step of the way, she only got very close and could have easily not let them live. Which is interesting, considering werewolves, I don't think, are well known for their restraint when they've gone full wolf. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's explicitly that they lose restraint.
It's the supernatural panic humans feel when they see a werewolf transform or when they're in their war form. You get three options: fight, flight, or freeze. And what you do is entirely dependent on your willpower and character. There's not really much of a choice either. Brock running up to smack the werewolf with his
folding chair
isn't even necessarily a...
Why is this a bit? Did he just mispronounce it the entire time? Oh, God. I mean, let's be completely fair here. If Brock was a ghoul and not affected by delirium, this is still the stupid he would do, so it's hard to tell.
Conscious decision he's making. He's under delirium's effects. He's just
dumb
doing stuff. If you're impacted by delirium, you need to be well versed in what you're dealing with, have immense willpower, or be trained enough to keep your wits about you, which Brock does not have.
Yeah.
That's why Ronald having the presence of mind to destroy the hunter data instead of just unloading into Matilda is...
Although it is interesting because when you go back, you see when Big D gets in, and Big D we already know is special, little sunflake. Accurate wording, maybe. But you see his eye. Prior to Big D being there, that is a very extremely distorted version of it that is undistorted when he gets that little bump. And Hobbit, look at your last few comments. By the way, a friend of mine is on Family with Too Much Time Patreon. Heard the rough read. Oh, Family with Too Much Time is going to do the next chapter? Nice! Oh, that's awesome.
into Matilda is significant. He held his own far better than most would.
Yeah.
The exception to the delirium's effects are the supernaturally touched. So,
Big D.
changelings, vampires, demons, and other garu.
And technically Magnus, because he is explicitly supernaturally I was going to say touched, mistakenly said trust, as in trust up, and considering what we know about that, that might be the accurate way to put it.
Even some hunters who are experienced enough to know what they're dealing with, such as the imbued, all of these are considered supernaturally touched. And by experienced, I don't mean that they're like aware that it exists or have even encountered it a few times. I mean like has had a fight with them, been impacted by it directly in some way, maybe took a vampiric discipline or two to the face. Maybe has some latent psychic powers, which are just a thing that exists in World of Darkness I'm telling you about. Yeah. There are telekinetics that aren't affiliated with anything and are just a part of World of Darkness. Let us...
Because technically everyone is a form of mage, a sleeper, which means you're technically fundamentally forcing reality into the framework that you believe is real, along with everyone else who agrees with you. Because technically that is exactly how this works.
not dwell on this fact for a moment longer. Being supernaturally touched is not super clearly defined. It doesn't always inherently mean that they are supernatural themselves.
Although in
Just for a
Big
bit of a
D's case.
spanner into the works. If you recall, Grimmel knew about the supernatural before she met Kitten, so for all we know, that has something to do with my theory rather than her being the ghoul. But it's all we've got to work with, so work with it we shall. Nothing's ever simple with these people, is it? And
Nope.
the parenting, the delirium is conveyed visually via the eyes, white pupils, and a black swirling pattern. This is first shown with Spit very clearly, as in the damned episode starts with a zoom in on the eye. The
Oh.
last episode,
See, I noticed that. I just thought it was a stylistic choice. But even I just went back and showed Remmel, who had the swirling eye before Big D bumped into him. Which is interesting that the explicit look of delirium went away when Big D touched him. I wonder if it's probably important, but I just don't know why it's important yet. And Jesse, it's possible that Giles would be under the influence of the ghoul or vampire since he works at the 99 Pen store. That's also entirely possible.
it opened up with a shot of Dee being shadowed by the full moon, and the moon is linked to werewolves, which turned out to be the central group focused on in these last couple of episodes. I feel like that's been done to call attention to it for a reason. This visual is shown even in those who are able to fire through the delirium, like Remold. Looky here, see? There it is.
Yeah, actually,
It doesn't matter how
he's right.
impacted you are by it, or how your reaction manifests in panic, fight, or flight. If you're impacted by it, you get the white pupil swirly eyes.
I'm wondering if the reason he has the monocle is because something else is there. It's probably just a visual flare, but it would be kind of cool if there's something else behind the eye, like some random magic bullshit. Because we've seen there's a lot of random magic bullshit here, so maybe it is. I don't know. Sorry, didn't he say telekinetics unrelated to anyone? Oh, yeah. You could just do it. Since everyone can be a mage in their sleepers, you don't have to awaken to get magic powers. Or, no, yeah, I didn't misspeak. So you can just do random bullshit sometimes. You just only do that random bullshit.
We even get a glimpse of it within Dr. Waters. So the theory
Oh,
that
yeah.
she's the ghoul can be put to rest. Happy to be the person to debunk all the people claiming that she was the ghoul. You're welcome, fan base. Happy to be...
I mean, after one of the videos with her, it did kind of seem like that. But no, apparently she's just a Big D fanboy. No. Tess, no. The cats found the boxes near the door and they're trying to jump over it. And Martin, you mentioned it's not mage related? Oh, I thought everything was basically mage related because it's the fundamental. Wow, I can't speak today. Underlying, everyone technically has access to magic bullshit. Psionics are not magic. Oh, that's a weird description. I'm used to D&D where it's explicitly not magic, even though it is also explicitly magic.
Be of service. We get a close-up of Grimmel after she's been whacked onto the floor.
Yeah.
Before Matilda pins her down, there's no sign of it. Afterwards, it's closer, I guess? But it's not even close to what Giles, Remold, and Spit had. I've seen some people say that this is the delirium. And it's closer in the sense that it's...
I think that's more you were literally just knocked the wind out of with a giant, well, paw. Also, if Matilda thought she was the ghoul or the vampire and she looked that human, they probably would still attack her.
Not just someone's eye being clearly shown, but other than that, it's got no similarities to the delirium.
I think
at
they're
all.
showing
The
damage
delirium
there,
so far
yeah.
has been very clearly visually displayed, or it's been undercut with subtitles like it was with Brock and
Delirious
Giles.
laughter, delirious
If it's
panic.
meant to showcase delirium, then I would argue that this is the first instance of there being actually genuinely poorly communicated artwork in this entire...
The only other one would be when she was first exposed and maybe got over it. It's hard to say.
entire series. And that feels like a pretty big moment to make such a mistake in, and for no one to notice it in nearly a full year of production. It's not like an audio cue where different systems might have different settings that pick up different things that no one noticed. You're looking at this, and someone physically put pen to paper or tablet, whatever, and drew this, and all the other examples. If this is meant to be
plushie.
delirium, then I think it's poorly communicated. When Grimmel attacks Matilda, if we zoom in on her eyes, they look
Like delirium. Like very clearly delirium there.
odd. I've seen some people say that this is delirium, which
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly delirium. That's exactly how it was shown, the spirally star. In fact, I didn't even zoom in. I didn't realize it. But no, now that you're showing it, it's delirium. It's exactly what he was talking about. She just got knocked out of it really fast.
maybe? I don't think so, though. Why would this be different to the one we saw of her on the floor?
Because here it was gone and this one's just showing pain. This one looks more like a broken down stylistic choice to show that she just got the wind knocked out of her when they can't do much else. It's also why the eyes are so small here to make her look more intense, which admittedly she does a really good job of, where this one doesn't. I think this is clearly delirium. It's how it's been shown as you've described it. This is a stylistic choice of, oh fuck. It's like whenever someone has the eyes go completely white, but still having the circle around them showing the black outline, showing the whited out pupil, either displaying blindness if used in context, or someone's being knocked out because of it.
Why change it up? I think that it might just be an action movement, but I'm honestly not sure.
It's too
I
specific.
don't think it's delirium. And if that's not enough of a visual cue for you, I've got a new one.
Unless anyone in the Arcanum except Grimmel has hazel eyes, maybe indicates something. Supernatural and delirium, maybe, or a sign of the lack of delirium influence. I would voice this, but I ended up sick. Sorry. It still has the delirium thing. I think this might actually just be a colorization mistake.
When Giles was under the delirium, we saw Matilda from his perspective. And he had this shadowy outline around the edge of the screen and these red, bloodshot veins in the corners of his vision.
Honestly, I thought that was just to hype up the scene.
Now, this could also be due to the damage he suffered. He's got this thing sticking out of his torso. I'm not...
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I was focusing on the lacking hand. But yeah, he is punctured through what looks like rebar. I missed that.
I'm not entirely sure what it is or how it even got there.
And it's not just an editing mistake, because you can clearly see where it was changed up to have his shirt go right through where his heart would be. Yeah. I don't think a ghoul lets you survive your heart being pierced. Does it? I missed that because I was focusing more on the stump. Because they're using classic magician misdirection right here. They showed us the actual horrible thing, which he didn't notice, and the visually worse thing that isn't actually as bad as your heart literally being pierced. Yeah, that's a pipe apparently, according to Cosmic. Yeah, it is. We don't know how he got impaled, but we know he was because the image is there. And because he's reacting more to the stump, and the only person she maimed is the person who survived getting their heart gouged out. A pierced heart would kill a ghoul, according to John Smith? Yeah, I thought so. What other things are there that could survive having your heart pierced, though?
It's there. When Grimmel gets whacked, she's coughing up blood, gets thrown across a room, maybe through a wall. Whatever happened, planks of wood are being knocked up off the floor. And then Matilda is putting her weight on Grimmel's chest. We then see Matilda from Grimmel's perspective, and those red lines and black shadowy outline aren't there.
Yep. Honestly, I thought the red lines were just a stylistic fear response to show how fucked up this was, which functionally, if it wasn't intended that way, it's a great usage of it because it did do that. But
why does one injured person have them, but the other
also in grayscale
doesn't?
Hers is in color.
Line aren't there. Why does one injured...
His is in black and white with only the glowing eyes. I don't know nearly enough about this entire setting, but are there factions that could possess a body? I don't know. Maybe a demon, maybe something brought up. I don't know. I do not know. Werewolf, mummy, very high level vampire, a wraith. Would a wraith be able to get into the definitely not warp? I don't know. I literally don't know. But beyond just the bloodshot eyes, the black and white aspect, the colors are distorted.
Person have them.
And according to Jack, it's a demon. 100% yes from Requiem. Demons and wraiths, cosmic. And it says that, oh, absolutely, yeah.
But the other injured person doesn't. My guess? In Giles, it's meant to convey delirium. The lack of it in Grimmel implies it's absent from her. And then, When Dee is fighting Matilda and Grimmel is crawling away, no sign of delirium at all.
I think we got the image of the delirium early on, personally. I'm just wondering what else she was involved in, because she's handling it better than most people. My thought is still that Occam is the one working with the vampires, though. Just because it would serve his purposes. Personal opinion, maybe not a ghoul, because magic. But it still seems... I'm going back to the very previous episode. Oh god, it was literally just one episode previous to this, where it showed the casualty rates going down since he took over. And yeah, that makes sense. Oh, and Requiem, the Wraiths are literally... can sometimes possess a body, but it's basically zombies. They are literally citizens of the Umbra. I think that's fair. Ugh. I just don't know enough about Wraiths to say anything about it, and even less about demons in this setting.
In the case of Brock in particular, when his eyes weren't quite so clearly displayed, although I think there might be like 1 pixel of...
Yeah, kinda shows it, but also he's hard to see.
white in his pupils if you look close. I honestly can't tell. But again, in cases where it is harder to tell, the subtitles come in clutch to
Delirious
make sure
laughter.
that it's understood that it's supposed to be, quote, delirious laughter. Delirious, delirium, I feel like the connection there is supposed to be quite clear. I feel like if Grimmel was meant to be under the delirium, she would have a subtitle like Brock had. Like, delirious war cry or something. I feel like that's a lot of major visual oversight. Back to...
I would agree with him if he hadn't shown the image of her eyes having the classic spiral. I know one of them cut to color, but honestly, I think that was just a color offset for that one image, because there's no other time I can think that would happen. And if it was such a small thing, granted they put small details in before, but we'll have to find out.
Back for no one to notice in production. These are the people that put blood over the mouth of a wolf as a form of...
See, this is the scene I was referencing. Yeah.
Foreshadowing, subtle claw marks everywhere, had Matilda misspell her own name, displayed the vent in the background of Chapter 4, which became relevant in Chapter 5 that some...
Oh, that was a vent? Oh. I didn't even realize there was a vent in the background.
Have you doubted me on? Don't think I didn't see you, heathens.
Maybe.
Never question me again. I wonder
I refuse.
if my exaggerated self-congratulatory jokes are making me come across as an asshole. I mean, I'm not going to stop, but still...
Do you imagine if someone online was calling themselves an asshole? Well, they'd be right, because, I mean, who else could actually deal with being online and making an ass of themselves constantly? It's kind of a requirement. We have to sign a contract. There's classes for it. It's very annoying, takes forever, and they charge the dumbest fee. You have to pay in pennies. It's not a lot, but you have to pay in pennies. It's just annoying. And QosmicVoid mentioned, to be fair, I only noticed that when you pointed it out. Wait, there is a vent and I pointed it out? I didn't even realize that was a vent. Huh. Unless I did? Did I point that out? My memory is shit. The symbols weren't leading Marcus to the vents, but to him. Oh.
Anyway, my point being that these guys put in a frankly psychopathic level of detail into this series visually. I feel if they were going to screw up anyway, it wouldn't be on something this obvious.
That's why I think the image with the eye changing color just a small bit was the obvious fuck up, because it's a small thing. On QosmicVoid, you mentioned the small things. Well, yeah, I enjoy that too. But the blood on the werewolf's mouth, I saw that, I was like, oh shit, there's a werewolf involved immediately. I'm pretty sure it's on video, me saying that. And then starting to think, okay, maybe I'm overreacting, up until there was a werewolf. And it was awesome. And the music was perfect as well. Goldfish Brain Hobbit? Yeah, Goldfish Brain is accurate.
Besides, throwing herself at bigger opponents than herself is something we saw Grimmel do in the pub audio log. Now, I mean, granted, dealing with fricks in a pub is a whole other ball game to dealing with a werewolf.
But she's also the sort of spiritual successor for Kitten's ex, who would have been one of the Tau, whose entire defining feature is tilting at windmills that could smash them because they're not actually windmills. They are literally gods of chaos who are eating on their brains and just ignoring them because they're small. So, yeah, this kind of fits. It's less of a spiritual successor, though, just because Shadow Strike in TTS, or Sunstrike? I don't remember her name because I never play Tau. Or play anyone with Tau. Shadow Sun? Maybe that's a pink boss. she had maybe 10 seconds in the show as a joke, and that's it. Grimmel has way more characterization than the joke ever did in TTS. But the entire concept of hitting up is not there. So, or it is explicitly there.
But it shows a consistency to her character. She's willing to throw herself into fights that she's outmatched in.
But holds
I
up pretty
think that
well.
she's just like this, and that the delirium has nothing to do with it. Yeah. Just another reason why I adore this gremlin weeb. I really hope she isn't a traitor.
I really doubt she's the traitor. Although I wouldn't be surprised if other shit is going on.
So bad for her. Give her a boyfriend, a girlfriend, an envy partner, a pet dog. Just give her some love, please. I feel like I should specify that the pet dog is not meant to be a romantic, which is a...
You know, I wasn't thinking that. I wasn't. It wasn't in my mind. I wasn't thinking of it. God damn you, Cosmic. Now I can't stop thinking it. Unfortunately, this is where I have to cut this one. Because we just matched the goal for chat choosing what to watch next. And if I don't stop now, we will not have enough time to do any of it. So I'm going to cut this one here and come back to this next week. And coming back to this. So not only do I have to stop here, it means when I start next week, I will be reminded of this. And it will be back in my head after I'm almost guaranteeing I will forget about it. So he gets to do this to me twice. Damn you, Cosmic. Damn you. And just to clarify what I'm dealing with right now, he's laughing and going gremlin British noises. Isn't that just basically saying British twice? Yeah, whatever. Seriously, though, I like his take on this. I love looking into it. I agree. I disagree with some parts. Honestly, this time around, I think I'm on the same page with him on this. But we got a good bit more of the video to get through, and it's going to be pretty fun because this is cool. I like geeking out. So seeing someone else geeking out in excessively overdone detail is literally me bait. I love this shit. There'll be links below. Hit them up. Cosmic's in the chat right now live when we're doing this. So you could probably ask him questions for like the next few minutes or however long he sticks in here or acknowledges that he's actually here. So I can do this. And saying, haha, he did British noises. Yeah, I randomly put him on camera. I call him out on his behavior. All the same, if you guys haven't, links below, video, hit him up. Cosmic did a great job, and I can't wait to get through the rest of this. And the Burger Creek talking about more werewolf stuff, because that's super freaking important right now. And all the other stuff, like the Norfolk Wizard game. So if you guys haven't, hit him up. And I'll see you in the next one. Adios.